welcome to another TerranScapes video. This TerranScapes video features predominantly jungle terrain with a new addition to the table, which are the new jungle tree stands. I thought I'd do something a little unusual. I don't often do this because it takes quite a while to set up, but I thought I'd do a full table layout so that if I pull back, let's see if I can get the whole table in that picture. And also put some models on the table so you can see maybe what it might look like with a large-scale army about to commence battle, to put all of the different terrain pieces into scale. So I thought I would set up some lizard men, which seem perfectly fitting for the new jungle terrain. And I thought I would also set up the vampire counts as a opponent for them so that you can get a sense of the scale. Now these are not exactly 2250 armies, but it's a pretty close approximation. And so I thought to give you a sense of what the new tree stands add to the table, I wanted to do the full table so that I could point out some of the concerns that I had had with the jungle terrain prior to this. In general, say with a nice pyramid as the focal point for the table, you could add a few pillars which were available previously. You could add some rock outcroppings. But with the regular stands, if I kind of hunker down and look across the table, right, you've got a fairly low level of terrain. You've got jungle trees, you've got the pillars in the back, and you can see the pyramids jumping up out of the background. And that didn't really feel like a jungle to me. Jungles are dense, tall foliage areas. So what I did is I decided to add a new piece to the line, which are the jungle tree stands. And the jungle tree stands, as you compare to the rock stand here, all right, are quite a bit taller. They are approximately 7 inches tall, 7 to 8 inches, depends. And I did a lot of debating about how to represent that and looked online for, I'm sad to say, several hours looking for suitable trees pre-made, say by Woodland Scenics or by GW or whatever. And quite frankly, I didn't like any of the ones that I saw. So I decided to use some craft foliage, but picking pieces that in particular emulate, I thought, a tree in shape and habit and to scale with the rest of the pieces. And I think that these pieces captured that actually quite well. Each of the jungle trees are mounted on a hardboard base. The hardboard base has, let's see here if I can prop this up. The hardboard base has a foam applied to the top so that I can actually press the foliage into the base to give a much sturdier attachment to the base. So these are not going to come apart. They're large enough that they're not tippy. These are not going to fall over on the table despite the heavy top weight. And when I started setting up the table, it actually gave me several ideas about how they could be used. And of course, you know, it gives you the flexibility to decide how you want to use them yourself. But what I thought would probably be one of the better ways, if you notice as I pulled back, now GW, when they talk about their jungle terrain, recommend having all of their tall foliage along the sides, giving you the open clearing in the middle, which gives you that sense that you've come into the clearing to do battle in a jungle. And there's some practical reasons for that, obviously, in that when you start adding quite a bit of terrain to the center of the table, it can get a little tight for maneuvering. And I think, you know, I put these pillars out to represent sort of the walkway leading up to the pyramid, added a few hills, the pond, a couple corner hills, a couple clumps of the jungle trees. And this is a fairly dense table, and I think while it would be certainly fun to play on, certainly for jungle scenarios where you have that tight movement and restricted ability, I think it's going to favor some troops that can move through difficult terrain a little bit unfairly, and may not be the density that you always want to play on. But I thought it gives a nice visual impression, and to me this is what a game table should look like when you sit down to play, especially if it's a jungle scenario. So when using the trees, a couple options include things like just placing them by themselves, of course, but I thought it actually looks a little bit more realistic if you place them maybe as a pair, and then adding an extra small stand nearby gives you an ability to designate a broad area as difficult terrain, sort of the way traditionally forests are done. You could also place, of course, small clumps by themselves as difficult terrain to mark out areas. Or, of course, they could just be placed individual and it's their bases alone. So you get some flexibility in how large an area you want to designate them encompassing. And actually, while I never see anybody do it, I had even thought, if you place a single tree down, but you wanted it to have a larger area effect, why not say anywhere within 2 inches of the base counts as difficult terrain? I haven't seen anybody play that way, but to me it seems like a way of stretching your terrain to have a larger tactical effect on the battle, and gives you some flexibility in terms of getting more variation out of the terrain that you have. So anyway, I wanted to give you that preview. Wanted to give you the sort of model's eye view of the whole table all set up with the pyramid, with the pillars, with the new jungle trees. Give you that sense of scale, so that when you perhaps take a look at these in the store, you can get a sense of exactly what it is you're buying. Again, that's one of the things that I'm really trying to do with each release now, and I've been very pleased to see people really subscribing to the videos and leaving some comments and a lot of positive feedback. And I'm always dismayed when I see competitors who are not really accurately displaying what they're selling and how it compares. So hopefully you find these videos useful. They take a little extra time to do, but I think in the end it's really serving the customer better, and that's got to be the only way I plan on doing business. So enjoy.